is somewhat irrelevant as to how brilliant you are as an attorney. If you're not a good business owner and you have no clients, there's no one to benefit from your brilliant legal skills. So let me introduce you to the 4 cornerstones of practice growth: time management, client development, marketing, building a great team, and cash flow and profitability. You have so many marketing ideas and some are free, right? Or very low cost. If you look at the big law firms, they have the budget to do, for example, commercials, so they can do, large marketing strategies. It's a lot of times it's much better when you're competing to be different.
My name is Nina, and I'll be the moderator for this webinar. I wanted to start out by giving a bit of background on our speaker, Kimberly Lee. Kimberly Lee is the founder of Desert Law Group, a trust and estates law firm in Indian Wells, California. In addition to managing her busy law practice, Kimberly serves as the education co-chair for the solo small firm section of the California Lawyers Association, or CLA, as well as being one of the update authors for the CEB's estate planning libraries. She is the past president of the Desert Bar Association and the Desert Estate Planning Council. After graduating summa cum laude from the University of Laverne College of Law, Kimberly clerked for Justice Marvin R. Baxter at the California Supreme Court. Since her service with the court, Kimberly has been active in her law practice, which focuses on estate planning, trust administration, and probate. Kimberly is a member of Wealth Council, Elder Council, the probate and trust sections of the CLA, and the Desert Bar Association. When she's not working, Kimberly enjoys spending time with her husband and son, as well as her family. In her spare time, Kimberly is an adjunct practice advisor for Atticus and helps other attorneys to grow their practices and to live a great life. She also spends time reading, baking, gardening, and working on her many quote unquote not yet projects. The webinar presentation you're about to watch will be approximately 1 hour, and Kimberly will be taking questions from the audience after the presentation is complete. If you have any questions that come up during the presentation, please feel free to submit them by clicking that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Without further ado, here is Kimberly to discuss great life, great practice, the 4 cornerstones of law firm success.
Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me today. The topic today is small law firm practice management. We'll share a lot of information on what law school didn't teach us as to how to run a successful law firm. My hope is that after sharing this information with you, you will be more successful in your current law firm. I am Kimberly Lee, as Nina introduced me. I'm uniquely qualified to stand here to share the information with you, and not because of the list of accolades, but because I've made a lot of mistakes. And some of these mistakes are very expensive and very painful. I'm hopeful that by sharing information and the strategies with you, you can learn vicariously so you don't have to go through that painful process as I did. Before I get started, I'm going to go over some housekeeping items. So I want to make sure you know that I know you all have cell phones and you're probably watching this on your tablet or on your computer, but we live in the digital world and we are constantly distracted with technology that is supposedly make us more efficient. 2 major distractions are our cell phones and our emails. So since you choose to spend the time with me for the next hour, I want you to get most out of the information. My suggestion is to turn your phone off or to vibrate or to silent and resist the temptation to check your emails for the next hour. Close your apps, turn off your notifications so that you can concentrate on what we will be sharing with you today. I want you to protect your focus. Although the PowerPoint presentation and outlines will be sharing with you and you'll have that, grab a pen or a pencil, a piece of paper, because when you're writing, the act of writing is going to engage your frontal lobe. That will help you to absorb the information we're going to share. It's also a great tool for you to be able to jot down ideas or, good tips that you say, I can use that in my practice. That would work for me. So you can highlight those areas during the presentation. So we all went to law school. And after law school, we had to study really hard to then pass the bar exam. And so once we get through the bar exam, we became attorneys. And as attorneys, we are trained as academic achievers. But when you open your own practice, you're not just an attorney anymore, but you're also a business owner. Law school taught us how to think like a lawyer, but it didn't teach us how to be a good business owner. So the business skills that we need to manage to grow a successful law firm are very, very different than what we have learned in law school. It's somewhat irrelevant as to how brilliant you are as an attorney. If you're not a good business owner and you have no clients, there's no one to benefit from your brilliant legal skills. So we want to make sure we share that with you. Now, let's start with the concept of mindset. As you can imagine, the skill set to be a business owner is very different than the skill set to be a good attorney. You may feel that once you're a good attorney, you should be able to be a good business owner, but that's not true at all because we're actually our own worst enemy. So I want you to think about that for a moment. When I share some of the strategies and tips and everything that we have learned with you, I want you to think about it for a moment, because some of these will come across to you as counterintuitive. Some will make perfect sense to you, but some will be, well, I'm not sure that's going to work for my practice. I want you to take a leap of faith with me, because as attorneys, our natural instinct is to create a counter argument as to why things won't work. That's our skill set, to figure it out how to see things from both sides. So keep an open mind and then come to the journey with me today. Now, so where do you start? If you Google how to manage a law firm, you'll get 10,000 hits within like 10 seconds, right? So if you have all this information, where do you start? If you are people who like using puzzles or have puzzle boxes, you know where to start. You start with the 4 corners, and that's how you get foundation to be able to start the whole picture. So let me introduce you to the 4 cornerstones of practice growth. This concept actually was created by Atticus, and Atticus is a national coaching firm that helps attorneys to create a great life and a great practice. They have been very generous to allow me to share different information with you today. So I just finished building a house. So when you build a house, one of the most important things to do is to have a strong foundation. So if you look at this structure here, the concept here, if you want to build a successful law firm, you have to start with a strong foundation. And that foundation is your legal skills. Justia offers many educational programs, as you know, in different practice areas. So that will help you to sharpen your legal skills. But since you're here today, I assume you're competent in all areas of practice that you are focusing in. Now you want to grow that practice so you can serve more clients. So the 4 different areas you want to focus on is time management, client development, marketing, building a great team, and cash flow and profitability. So with the legal skills as your foundation, and then focusing on your skill set on the 4 cornerstones to grow your practice, then the result is going to be producing higher revenue for you, higher net income, give you control over your practice, your time, your life, creating the freedom for you, and also allow you to make an impact to the legal profession as well as the society. So let's start with time management. So time management is really not as fun and exciting as, say, compared to marketing, hiring and firing, or profitability. But without time management, you won't have time to do marketing. And without marketing, you won't have time to be able to hire the team to support the work that will be coming in. And without a great team to leverage your time, you won't have the profitability. So we're going to do this sequentially, starting from time management, client development and marketing, building a great team, and cash flow and profitability. So time management is really a misnomer because you cannot manage time. is really managing your focus with the time that you have. So time and not money is really our greatest and most valuable resource. You can always make more money, but you cannot make more time. All of us have 24 hours a day, every day. So the reality is we want to focus today on the focus, not on the time. So if your workday looks like this in the morning and you have competing interests that need to get done today, you have stickies everywhere and dozens of late tasks and urgent phone calls and emails to respond. And then you end your day this way after working 12, 13, 15 hours and you're exhausted and you still have a pile of work to do. You're at the right place at the right webinar. So let me share with you 6 key strategies to get you started. So these 2 key strategies are client selection, time template, daily focuser, interruption log, question batching, and taming your email box or boxes. I'm sure all of us have multiple email boxes. And how do we make sure we don't let that control our life? So we'll go through each of the strategies one by one. As you come across these, and this is something that is really echoing what you're experiencing in the office, make sure you put a star next to it or jot it down or make a note to yourself so you can capture the information and what you want to start focusing on. Now, first start with the client selection. This is a Pareto principle where 80% of the revenue is going to come from 20% of the good clients, and 20% of that bad clients, they're going to use up 80% of your time. Now, what is a good client? What's a bad client? I'm sure you can tell me what is a good client for you and what a bad client looks like. Now, the good clients are the ones that paid you on time and in full, follow your advice, appreciate everything that you do, refer all their friends to you, and send you a holiday basket every holiday and tell you how much they appreciate what you have done for them, right? Now, the bad clients are those who complain about everything, being non-responsive to your phone calls, your emails, or your requests, and they don't follow your advice. Then they blame you for it, and they refuse to pay you at the end because they don't think you did a good job. And then when you send your invoice to them again and telling them that if they don't pay you, you're sending your bill to the collection agency, then they report you to the state bar and threatening to sue you for malpractice. That is a bad client. And then they post a bad review on Yelp and Google to tell everyone what a horrible attorney you are. So that's the bad client. They're always going to suck up your time more than you realize. So client selection is really the most important part when you are increasing your client base. Now, let me introduce you to a tool called the client selection matrix. Okay, so it's very simple form. You can see A, B, C, D. That's kind of the grades for your clients. Looking at the client personality, the type of case, the case value. Is it collectible? Are you going to get paid at the end? Referral source. Is this referred by a trusted colleague, another attorney, another professional, or is from Google search? Also, client expectations. There are clients who would have expectations that you can never meet, and those will not be the best choice for you. So this is going to be different for each of you. So for example, if you want a client personality, the A client would look like they're honest, they tell you the truth, they're communicative, they are appreciative, they are grateful people, you're there to help them. A bad client, a client personality will be demanding. On the first phone call, they're rude to you, rude to your staff, and they want everything done yesterday, and they don't want to give you a retainer. So that will be a D client. So you want to be really careful what that client looks like. But before you even get the first phone call and do the selection, it's important for you to sit down to look at what kind of A clients is the right ones for your firm. And that's different for everyone because, for example, if you're in, say, family law and you would like high conflict, you may want to personality of a client who wants high conflict, who wants to torch the earth at the end. And it's going to be high case value. And this is the case that you're looking for. Is it collectible? You want to make sure they have a large retainer. They're willing to pay you for it. If you're in a different practice area, you don't want client to be in conflict, high conflict. We're in the trust and estate practice. We want clients to be the one who would love their family, who are nice people, who appreciate things that we do for them. And understanding working with us is going to benefit them much greater than the alternative. So depending on what kind of practice you're in and your own personality, you may choose different types of client as A clients versus B, C, or D clients. My recommendation is try not to take any other than A or B clients. But because we're just having this conversation, you may already have C and D clients currently. I would highly recommend you review that and consider firing them as your clients. And that will free up a lot of your time that will be wasted. And that will then create time for you to do other things such as marketing to be able to bring in more good clients for you. The next strategy is time template. You may or may not heard of this concept. Time template is basically to have a kind of a model week. Okay, it's a tool to create your ideal week. For example, in the perfect world, what would your work week look like? Obviously, it's different for each person. So for example, some attorneys, they see clients 5 days a week, and some see clients 3 days a week. Some see clients only in the morning, and some only in the afternoon, depending on your schedule. So I would recommend that you take a look at this and then put together an ideal week for you. Now, this is not trying to restrict you, but trying to give you a framework so that you can block out the calendar accordingly. And so those blocks, for example, for clients will then be scheduled. For our office, for example, we schedule only on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. Those are our game days or client days. And Monday, we have office meetings and internal work. And then Friday, typically, we save it as a emergency day in case client has an emergency, or we have a catch-up day. So that's kind of our structure. And do we do it 100% of the time? No. If we hit 80%, I'm happy. There are always going to be exceptions in that process. As you know, it's a law firm. Client will have emergencies. Now, for those of you who are trial lawyers, you're going to tell me that, well, it's not going to work for me because I'm in trial. Well, you're going to then look at the time templates, two different kinds. One will be during trial. One will be when non-trial weeks. So then you can have two different kinds to be able to follow that will give you a much better framework for your practice. And you want also to train your team members or your receptionist or intake person to make sure they follow your time template as much as possible. Anything going outside of that template or ideal week, they can check with you, so you can always make exceptions. And this will going to help you to be able to structure your week with highest productivity. Now, this is a template, so don't feel like you have to follow it exactly. And I'm happy to tell you that this has helped us greatly in our office. Now, the next one is called the Daily Focuser. This is just an example. This is an Atticus Daily Focuser. I personally don't use this. I use a day planner. And I would highly recommend you can use this, happy to share this with you, or create your own. And I would also suggest not using it electronically because we use so much technology in our office to leverage our time. It's very difficult to do this electronically. That's why I use analog, as in day timer with a pen, literally with a pen, an erasable pen, and with the book. And that way I can put down what I need to do each day, my top 3 priorities, my next 3 priorities, what am I going to do, my regular schedule. So for example, this daily focuser doesn't work for me in that I don't exercise in the morning, I exercise after work. So some of you do it in the morning, so you can do that as well. So there's no right or wrong of doing things. It's really just a framework for you to have a central location to focus each day. Otherwise, your day is going to be controlled by the phone calls, emails coming in. It's very often we get out of bed. What do you do the first thing you do when you get out of bed? I'm pretty sure some or not, if not most of you, get up in the morning, you grab your cell phone. And the first thing you do is to check your email. And depending on who sent you the email, all of a sudden, that emergency becomes your priority that day. So without a daily focuser tool, everybody else is going to control your calendar on a daily basis. So do not check your email first thing in the morning, but use your focuser first thing in the morning, whether it's a piece of paper, whether it's a time booklet, whether it's a day planner, whatever you want to use. Is the key here is to actually use it and don't check your email. The next tool here is called the interruption log. You may or may not know this, but interruption is one of the greatest time thefts in the world. It takes 23 minutes on average, based on a study, for you to return to your focus once you're interrupted. Now, we all believe that we can multitask and we can answer a quick question and come back to where we were doing. That's not true at all. So one of the tools you want to use is to actually find out what are the interruptions that comes in. So this is a piece of paper. What I did was I put it on the clipboard in my office to do some almost like a scientific analysis. So you look at what is it? Somebody walked into me, knock on my door and say, Kimberly, do you have a moment or do you have a minute? So I put down who that person is that walked in and what's the purpose of the question and the length of time it took. And was it a priority? Was it an emergency? Or it was just something silly? And then once you have this, you'll find out how many interruptions you actually are getting every single day. And you see the form here, it says person, it means somebody walks in. A phone means somebody call you, that call was transferred to you. And environment means that it's, for example, your notification, all the things and all the phones and texting and notifying you there's another email, notifying you that somebody left you a text message, notifying you there's a sale at Amazon. All these are interruptions. So sometimes the most interruption is coming from ourselves, from our lack of control for our notification tools. The next one is called the question batching. If you have any team members at all in the office, you will know they'll come in and ask you a question. They ask you the question for the following reasons. Either they were not properly trained, so they don't know how to perform a task. So they need to interrupt you to ask you in order to perform their task. Or they wanted some verification of their action they're about to take because they're afraid to screw up and they don't want to lose their job. Or they're just delegating up. They don't want to be accountable for their action. So they'll come and ask you. So if you, the boss, say, sure, go ahead and do that, and it turned out to be a bad judgment call or bad decision, is not on them. So what I want you to do is stop these interruptions by having them batching their questions. So they interrupt you just once a day by asking the questions. Then you can focus and address your questions or determine whether or not it's a training issue so you can help them to grow, to help you in your office. So let me share with you some of the concepts. So imagine a bakery and they're baking pies. It'll be a lot more efficient to be able to make all the crusts, make all the fillings, fill the pies, bake the pies, and then box the pies and sell the pies. But if the bakery were to make one crust, make one filling, bake one pie, box one pie, and once it's done with that first pie, they go back and start all over again from making a crust. This bakery is going to go out of business, right? So you want to make sure that the workflow and also the questions that come into you is consistent, is also batched together. So some of the tools you can use a paper form. We started with a paper form that everybody in the office has a piece of paper called a question batching form, or you can use electronic documents, and basically the information will be the same. It will contain case name, basic facts of what the case is about, so you know what they're referring to, the issue or the question they want to ask, and also I ask them to come up with the proposed solutions. This helps them to start thinking process as to how to solve their own issues and problems that come in, so they can have good judgment calls. We started with a paper form, and as I mentioned before, and everybody would have their form. And most of the time, once they write it down or type it into the electronic form of their question, they came out with a proposed solution. They came out with their own solution. They didn't need you after all, because they're lazy as to just asking you is a lot easier than doing some thinking ahead of time. Currently, we use, as I mentioned, electronic form. So that way they can put it in the electronic document, and then we save that as a knowledge base. So in the future, if they have similar questions, they can then go back and look at that as a resource versus having to ask you the same questions more than once. I'm sure many of you can relate to the fact that you have been asking the same question by your team members over and over and over again. This will prevent that from happening. It's a great training tool for your office and for your team. So now let's turn to emails. Oh my goodness. Remember the old movie, You've Got Mail, with Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks? Well, that was back in 1998. And back then, some of you may not be old enough to have seen that movie, but it was exciting to get an email. But today, we literally receive hundreds and hundreds of emails today, every day, and it's only going to get worse. Now, I was in such a poor shape with my email. I actually hit bottom when I had 23,612 emails in my email box, and I was terrified. I couldn't sleep. I was worried I'm going to miss something. I figured I was going to commit malpractice somewhere. I missed something important. It was extremely stressful. And when I hit bottom, I thought I had to find a better way. I talked to a colleague who is a email ninja, and he shared with me, you got to start over, Kimberly. You just have to start over. So I actually started becoming really good at emails. So I'll share some of these tools with you today. Now, imagine if your email is paper mail. Your office would look like this. So how do you end up with all these thousands of emails in the first place? Well, imagine if you go to your mailbox and pick up your mail. Okay, so instead of picking it up and bring it back to your office or bring it to your home, what you actually did was to go to your mailbox, fetch one piece of mail, walk back to your office, open it, and realize it's an invoice. You pull out your check, you write a check. Does it remind you of something? Does that remind you of pie baking? Then you mail that check in an envelope, then put a stamp on it. Then you go back out to the mailbox again and fetch another piece of mail. And this time it's a piece of information somebody sent you, which you don't need right now, but you thought maybe someday I will need that piece of information. So you decide to put it back into the mailbox so you can fetch it later. Then you pick up the next mail and go back to your house or go back to your office and read it again. This is what we do with our email box. And this is what causes the problem of having literally thousands of emails. Okay, so if you get my point. So you got to have a system to do this. Otherwise, you're going to be consumed with email in the future. Studies have shown that we're only getting more emails versus less in the future. So this is called the inbox zero system, okay? And it's not complicated. It's actually systematic. And this is really, you can Google this. It's everywhere, okay? This is how you clear out your email box to get to inbox zero. Now, don't get confused where inbox zero, meaning that just remove all the email from your inbox and that's it. That's not it. Inbox zero really is to process email to inbox 0. So I want to share with you what you do is not check your email, but to process your email. So number one is that you want to unsubscribe to any email you don't want to receive. Now, remember, when you unsubscribe, what happens? They actually put you on a different list that you have unsubscribed. So they send you something different. I use an email app that helps to put them in it's called a black hole. And so therefore, I never see it again. Okay. And also you want to look at, these are the actions: unsubscribe, delete, archive, do it later, or do it now. Okay. So you only have these 5 choices. And so you take one of these actions when you process your email box. So if I get an email from a friend who says, Kimberly, I'd like to have lunch with you next week. Would Tuesday work for you? This is a 2-minute task. I will then check my calendar. I see I'm open Tuesday for lunch. I will then get back and say, sounds great. See you at 123 Apple Street next Tuesday. Then I archive that email, put it on my calendar. That's a 2-minute task. So that's how you process it. The reason is because if it takes less than 2 minutes or around 2 minutes to handle, and you actually save it for later, it will take a lot longer because you're looking at that same piece of mail again. So 2-minute task, do it now. If this is going to be something that will take longer, what I do is I task it. I task it on my practice management software. This is a task to perform because it takes more than 2 minutes. Then I'll put it into to respond folder so that I can take action later. You can archive it because right now the email boxes have very good search functions. So if you have a piece of information, don't keep it in your email box, just archive it. And what I typically do is, people are not very specific when you send emails with a subject line. I would do is I forward it to myself, change the subject line to something I can search and find later. Information on Proposition 19. Update on blah, 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 whatever it is. And then I archive it. And later on, if I need to have that piece of information, all I have to do is to search my email box, it will pop up again. Okay. And then the most important part is delete. This is a junk mail, delete, delete, delete. Okay. Unsubscribe. Those are just really use those 2 buttons. And so that way you can clear it out right away. Now, how do you do that when you have 23,000 emails in your box? You're probably not as bad as me. You probably only have, 10 of them or 20 or 100. What you do is put into one email box that to be sorted later and then start from 0. That's how you get started. So now let's turn to client development and marketing. Okay. And you'll see that law firm marketing is very important. Remember, we got to do it ethically to make sure we don't violate any rules. And let me share with you, you want to make sure is that you develop a system to maximize your lead conversion. You work hard to get them to call you or to go to your website. But once they get there, how do they actually turn into an appointment and into a client? So you have to have a system to do that. The other thing you can do is direct response marketing and referral marketing, and also referral marketing to your own client base, which is the low-hanging fruit. They are already your clients, not the C and D ones, but especially the A and B clients. Then lastly, community outreach. So let's go through each of them quickly. You want to define your ideal client. What does the A client and B client look like? And what practice area, what will be the unique legal problems you can solve for them? You want to be able to track the leads and your conversion rates, because some of these will not work as well. So therefore, you want to change your marketing strategy. So important to track your return on investments. It's also follow up. You can work really hard to get them to the door, but without proper follow up, they're not going to be coming to your office to become your client. The other suggestion is create a wow package. And you can do it either physical package or electronic package. Typically, everyone uses electronic packages now because it's cheaper. It's free, basically. But if you want to be different than other law firms, you may want to consider doing a paper package because people don't get them anymore. You also want to manage the initial client experience. By the time they walk in and sit in your conference room, they are interested enough to hire you as an attorney. If you screw it up, you have a bad experience because you're late to your appointment, your office and conference room is a mess, your receptionist to the clients is rude, they don't want to hire you. So you want to make sure you manage that initial experience for them. Now, these are some direct response marketing suggestions. You can see that we have altogether 12 of these for you. So I'm going to go through them really quick. Marketing website. Remember, a website now is just like a business card. When was the last time you looked for a plumber? By looking at Yellow Pages. Never, right? You Google, you go to Yelp, you find out who has high ratings. Then you go to their website to check them out. So the website is now your new business card. Make sure you have a good website that is built for marketing. SEOs, I don't know about you. I don't know anything about SEO. I just know it's supposed to do certain things. So hire professionals to help you to really tweak your SEO so they can find you in the sea of websites and attorney sites. There are also online reputation management companies that help you to manage your online reputation. For example, your Yelp review, Google review, Avvo review. People actually look at those now to select attorneys. Social media marketing, Facebook, different TikTok, different sites. Those are also something for you to consider. A lot of times too, if you have updated video on your website or on YouTube site, people want short videos or mid-length videos to find out information. And so you can use that to establish yourself as an expert in your area. You can also look at pay-per-click marketing. This you actually have to pay for. However, you can set a budget. Say you want to set $25 or $50 per month of budget. And every time somebody clicks, it charges you to get to your website. And you can set that to see how effective that would be. That's why it's important to track your result so you know what's working and what's not working. Also, there are different legal directory sites that you can list there. You can have premium listing, you can have regular listing. A lot of times too, when your prospective clients are doing a Google search, those sites will show up to be able to put you in front of them. You can do TV commercials depending on what type of practice you have, and depending on the market you are in, this becomes a more expensive investment. Also, print advertising. People are still doing print advertising. Actually, most people are stopped doing it. So this may be a time for you to revisit. This is a good time to go to the place where somebody else already gave up on. Write a book, right? You can write a book, establish you as an authority. You're an author. That's an authority. So then automatically you have higher reputation compared to the other attorneys you're selecting from. You can also do blogging if you like to write, also podcasting. If you have time, do some podcasting as well to share the information. And finally, direct mail. You can still do direct mail to their home. People are getting fewer and fewer pieces of mail nowadays, so they're actually going to hit them a little bit more. Let's turn to referral marketing. Well, if we're doing such a great job in the other marketing, why do we want to do referral marketing? Well, because referral marketing is a lot more cost efficient. Also, it's easier to do, but it will take longer to get the result. So I want to share with you some of these. You can go to create your niche and become the go-to expert in that particular area. If you're in family law, I know attorneys who specialize in only representing the husband or the wife, or only child custody, and they may have different websites to establish that specific specialty. Birthday cards, thank you notes, token of appreciation. Now remember, this is probably the cheapest, less expensive, and most effective way of marketing. We still send paper birthday cards and anniversary cards to our clients. And do you know what? A lot of times, this is the only birthday card, a physical card they receive that year. Trust me, they'll remember you. And they'll remember you when their friends and family and neighbors ask them, hey, do you have an attorney who handles this? Oh my gosh, I have the best attorney. It's such a small investment, but great results. You also can look at holiday gifts. Okay, want to be really careful with ethical rules as to sending holiday gifts and tokens of appreciation. You can do lunch and breakfast meetings for your existing clients or referral sources. Public speaking, do writing. We talked about writing a book, doing seminars or presentations. Also, you can create signature events for your referral sources or for your clients who refer clients to you. Doing webinars like what I'm doing right now, CE classes. Also, one thing you want to do is start collecting your top 20 lists. Who are the top 20 referral sources that you have that keep sending you clients? Who are the top 20 clients who love you, who want to send clients to you? Make sure you focus and capture that. The next one is marketing to your client base. You already have a client base. They love you already, except for the C and D's ones. Don't send it to them. So you want to keep developing that list, okay, and also your past prospect who may not have hired you because they didn't need you at that point in time, but maybe they do now. Or you didn't have the right practice area, but now you're added to your practice area. Now you can serve them. Print newsletters, also email blasts for newsletters. You can do those as well. I mentioned before, birthday cards, anniversary cards, okay? Brochures, information on particular practice areas people can take and then bring home. Promotional items, your swag, right? Also signature events for clients. You can do one for the professionals and do one for the clients. Holiday gifts for the clients, okay? And also different webinars for your clients to teach them how to refer clients to them, to remind them what a great guy you are and what you have helped them. Also, your special legal knowledge to be able to share with them, so help them to have more knowledge in that area. Finally, you can do community outreach, bar associations, different business associations. If you Google bar associations or top business associations for attorneys, you probably hit like 300 million in like 40 seconds, okay? So look at those to see what's in your area. And if you are outgoing kind of person, this will be something that you may enjoy. Now, remember, marketing is very personal. And the reason why is because you have different personalities. I'm not really a real super social person because I'm a nerd. So these community outreach things I would do, but it's more like work for me. But I love to teach. I love to share information with clients. So those are the ones that I focus on to make sure that it fits with my personality. Now let's go to digital marketing. Now I mentioned before, like it or not, we're in the digital world. If you're looking for a plumber, as I mentioned before, you Google it, right? So you want to make sure that they know how to find you digitally. Now, I share with a lot of information with you just now. We probably threw out 30, 40 marketing ideas. Don't do all of them all at once. Do one at a time, okay? Just start small. Do one at a time. Don't start doing TV commercials, webinars, and then doing in-person signature events, and then go through, spend $10,000 a month on pay-per-click marketing. You're going to go broke. Start small. Pick the one that it fits your personality, that you like, that echoes of what you want, and start with that, and then add to it. Okay, you can do all of them, just not all at once. Next, we're going to go to build a great team. So now you do a great job on marketing. You save the time by doing good client selection. You do all the time-saving stuff. Now you do marketing because you have time now to do marketing, right? Now you do these great marketing. Guess what happens? Phones start ringing. You have more clients coming in. Now you have too much work to do. Typically, what people do is they stop marketing because they're too busy. They start doing client work. And then once they're all done with the client work, then they say, oh, darn, I have no business. I better go out and do some more marketing. So you go through the ups and downs and higher peaks and valleys. Don't do that, because when you have more business, I'm assuming you charge them and they pay you. Now you have more money. You can then leverage by hiring team members to help you. Remember, it takes a village to be able to run a successful practice. Okay. So how do you build a great team? Because a bad employee is worse than a bad client because the person shows up to your office every single day. If you have bad employees right now, consider terminating them and upgrade. But if you're in California, remember we have very strict labor rules. Talk to a labor law attorney to make sure you do it properly to upgrade, okay? So if you look at the candidates, let me see if I do this. If you look at the candidates, you have immediate but low quality, or you can wait for the right person to hire. The balance is speed of hiring somebody because you need them now, but good enough quality so you don't have to wait for the most qualified person. When we hire team members, I don't hire based on the skill set. I hire based on their integrity, their work ethics, because I believe skill sets can be taught and can be learned. So long as they have the right attitude, they have the right aptitude and enough intelligence, we will hire them. So let me show you the process, because the cost of employee turnover is more than you can realize. It's not just what you pay them, but the time you spend to train them, and then the frustration you go through, or if you're using other team members to help you, their time, which you pay for as well. So employee turnover is extraordinarily costly. So how do you avoid that from happening? Well, first you start with doing a good job interviewing. Go through their resume and interview to make sure you can figure it out whether or not this person is the right fit for your firm. We do testing before we hire everyone. We do skill assessment testing. We use certain tools to find out how they naturally function, how they naturally thrive. So with those different tools, we can have the best chance of success. Once we select the right person, you want to make sure you have proper onboarding and training, because throwing the file on their desk and say, hey, good luck, Joe, I hope it works for you and just do the best you can, is setting them up to fail. So you want to make sure you have proper training programs in the office, and then also making sure they feel welcome to be onboarded onto your team. We do a lot of video training, so that way we don't have to use a team member, their time, to be able to train new team members. So next time you're going to train a new person, video record it so that you can use that as your training library for new team members. And once they are trained, they're working, you want to provide them with feedback, especially with the new generation. They require constant feedback to know that they're doing a good job. It's different from the, baby boomer generation. They can tolerate working, not getting feedback. They continue to work until the end of the process at the year end for the feedback. Nowadays, with the newer employees, you want to provide them with frequent feedback so they know they're going forward. And finally, very important to motivate and recognize your team. Now, remember, your team and the quality of your team and the quality of your clients will determine the happiness level for you as an individual and as an attorney and as a law firm owner. Now, Atticus put out a book called The Hire Slow, Fire Fast. Some of these concepts I share with you came from this book. I don't have enough time today to go through all the details. So that's why I wanted to share with you. You can Google this book, you can buy it, you can read it. It has some good information. If you go to hiring, how to hire and fire, on Amazon, there are plenty of books out there, but this book is particularly focused on law firms and attorneys. So this will be helpful to you. Now let's look at cash flow and profitability. We're talking about money. I hope you're waking up now to focus on the last cornerstone. So remember, we're focusing not just the revenue, but also the net income, because the revenue is only vanity. The net income, after you pay everybody else, to pay the Uncle Sam, and when you take home, that's for you. That's for your family, okay? But in the law firm, you get paid last, right? Revenue comes in, you pay your overhead, you pay your rent, you pay for your software licensing, your law library, your paralegal, your legal assistant, you pay for whatever. Then at the end of the month, you get paid. That's why I say you get paid last. Okay, so if you are not a nonprofit organization, I'm assuming you go into business to be able to make money, to be able to feed your family, create a good life for them and for you. So if you're a for-profit organization, you want to focus on how do you become profitable as a law firm owner. So a great lawyer mindset looks like this. Revenue comes in, subtract expenses, whatever's left is the profit. That's typical accounting process. This is the income statement, right? But I want you to consider a different possibility, looking at this from a different perspective. So there's a book called Profit First. It's a great book, easy read also. And it's actually been so popular. Now they have Profit First for accountants. They have Profit First attorneys. They have Profit First this and that. Profit First for small business owners. They're actually accountants who are certified in the Profit First concept. So I highly recommend this book as well. Easy read. So this is a concept, okay? The concept is the opposite of what we just went through, which is income, which is your revenue, minus costs or expenses equals profit, right? But we're going to flip it. You're going to have sales, which is the revenue, minus profit, which is what you take home, equals expenses. You say, whoa, wait a minute. There's a ninja trick going on here. You're right. Because we're taking the profit out of the equation first. That's why it's called profit first. Now, whatever's left is the expenses. You keep a budget, okay? So this is how it works in this process. So you'll see that you deposit money into income account. The suggestion they have is to have a different sub-accounts. So allocation to different profit, allocation to owner's pay. Remember, you're an owner, and also you're an attorney, right? So you got to get paid. And then you have the allocation, which is the taxes, and you have the allocation for operating expenses. And once you have these allocation of percentages, then once you have the profit, every quarter, you put the profit into the second bank. It's called profit hold. That means that so that you can get to it. This is your reserve. This is your mad money account in case there's an emergency, in case the COVID-19 happens, in case something unexpected happens, you have a reserve to keep your law firm running. Now, what percentage would you allocate for each section? Well, that depends on your practice. And in the beginning, you may be thinking, Kimberly, you don't understand. My paralegal makes more money than I do. By the time I pay everyone, I make less than my staff. I don't have any profit. I should go work for somebody else. You can start with 1% profit. This is a habit you want to establish. The goal here eventually is that you should have, as a successful profitable law firm, to have 35% profit margin. Okay. The reason why there are two different banks is so that it's not easy for you to then just take the money from the account in case you want to spend money. This is to keep you in on the budget, basically. It's actually not a complicated structure because remember the olden days, they have the envelope system, right? You're going to put some money into envelope for vacation and some money in this envelope for your utilities, some envelope for holiday gifts, same concept. Just different accounts. Okay, so I would highly recommend you explore this as a possibility. And this is a sample allocation from the Profit First book. So you can see if your revenue is 0 to 250, you will see how that works. Profit, they're recommending 5%. Now, if you don't have 5%, you say, Kimberly, I can pay bills if I take out 5% as my profit. Then it's okay. Start with 1%. Start small and then build upon it. There's also another book by Atticus called The Cash Flow Profitability. You would think I sell books, but I don't. I'm recommending these because these are very helpful books to me. I've implemented all these different strategies, and I can tell you it is extremely effective if you actually just do it. I don't get anything from this at all. I buy these books, I give them away as gifts because that's how much I believe how helpful they would be for my friends and colleagues. So now we went through the 4 cornerstones of practice growth. A refresher, always start with your legal skills. Remember, you cannot be a crappy attorney and have great time management, great marketing, great team. You're going to fail because you're going to be sued for malpractice. You have to be competent first. You don't want to do any harm to your clients. So be a good attorney first. Now, build your skill set to be a good business owner, to make sure that you can provide the right service for your clients, timely service, excellent service. You have marketing skills to be able to get new clients, to serve more people with your legal skills, and also have a great team to help them to feed their family, and they can be there to help you to be able to grow your practice. And maybe someday you want to sell the practice. It's building value for your business. And of course, we're all in business to make a profit. There's no shame in saying we're doing this to be able to make a profit, but profit should not be the reason why you go into it. You go into this profession, went through years of schooling to become an attorney to serve the clients. If you do a great job being an attorney, doing a great job being a business owner, profit will come. Then you have the skill set to be able to allocate different percentages. And then you can look at your QuickBooks account. You say, I see that my profit margin, I'm doing well. I'm on my way there. Okay. So that is the concept of the 4 cornerstones of practice growth. And with that, you'll be able to live a great life because you'll have revenue coming in. You'll have net income that'll be increased. You can take time off because you have a competent team to be able to run the office during your absence. You have control over your own life, your own time. You have the freedom to do things fun like what I'm doing now, to do CE programs, to share the information and be able to make an impact, not just for a legal profession, do charitable work, do impact work, do stuff that's meaningful to you as a person, as an attorney. I hope you enjoy the information I share with you. And I'm going to do is then turn off this so we can spend a few minutes on questions and answers.
Perfect. Thank you, Kimberly.
Let's see here. Let's see. How do I turn off?
I can do it for you.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. Awesome. Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. As you mentioned, we'll now move on to the Q&A portion of the webinar. If anyone in the audience has any questions for Kimberly, please feel free to submit them through that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We already have a few questions, so we can go ahead and dive right in. All right, our first question is, I want to get better at firm management, but so much of my time is taken up by cases and clients. What's the best way to approach time management with an already busy schedule?
Well, that was when we talked about first, right? I want you to do is go back to the presentation and look at the time management portion and choose one first, okay? I would start by focusing on the time template to make sure you start carving out time when you will do the client work. And then when you're going to be addressing emails, you're probably, if you're really super busy with lots of clients, that means that you probably are a good attorney, you have lots of clients, right? So do a time template first. Then I would look at the client selection. Are all your clients who are giving you work all A and B clients? If they're not, then start really referring out C and D clients, because those are the people who are taking your time, but not be able to bring that 80% return for you.
Thank you. Our next question that we got is, what do you recommend what is the best way to start my cash flow management?
Okay, so cash flow management. So I would start from ground zero because it's going to be hard for you. It's a habit, right? So at the office, we would start by going to the bank, we open the account. So if you read through the Profit First book, and there's actually some information, if you don't want to spend the money to buy the book on Amazon, just Google Profit First, procedures or process, you'll get a bunch of information for free. They also have the allocation sheet on their website that you can download for free. And then you would do is then start with 1%. Start slow, and then just put it aside to a different bank or different account. Okay. Now, some of the banks, when I started doing this, they didn't want me to have to name the different accounts. So I had to find a local bank that will work with me to say, I'm going to have 5 accounts. And I'm going to be moving money back and forth each month. I want to make sure it's not going to incur any service fees or account fees. And they were able to work with me. They didn't understand why I was doing it, but it was okay. And that was how I get started. And just to start small. I'll share a funny story with you, which is it works so well in our office and be able to do it that I told my husband that we are going to practice profit first, savings first at home. So I explained the concept to him, and he listened to the audiobook on it, but I don't think he truly understood the meaning of it, because I told him I'm going to remove all the money from our checking account and we're going to budget it to the amount that we're going to be spending this month. And so when I remove all the money out of the checking account, the bank sent him a notification, text message saying that your account balance is now 0. He almost had a heart attack. And so, so don't do that to your spouse. Talk to them first. I did tell him, but he didn't remember. But now we do the same thing at home. And so basically just setting a budget for each month's spending, same thing with your law firm. This will become a lot more profitable, make you think about the spending you are doing for your law firm.
Great. Thank you for all of those tips. I think the last question that we have time for today is going to be this third question. So as a smaller firm owner, I find it hard to keep up with larger firms. What are your tips on staying competitive in a saturated market?
That's good. That's a great question. Now, I want you to go back and look at the marketing segment of the presentation and the outline. You have so many marketing ideas, and some are free, right? Or very low cost. If you look at the big law firms, they have the budget to do, for example, commercials, so they can do, large marketing strategies. It's a lot of times it's much better when you're competing to be different than to be better. So find something that's different they're not doing, that they can do. Maybe do a better client service. You give them access to you. You say, I'm going to have Saturday appointments because those big law firms, they don't do Saturday appointments, or do evening appointments on one day as a special offer for somebody who is fully qualified, who wants to work with you. And if you're doing the marketing, figure out something a little different. I doubt any of the big law firms are sending out birthday cards to the clients and sending out, anniversary cards to the clients. And so you can do something that may be low cost, but very helpful to the clients. That will differentiate you from the big firms.
Thank you, Kimberly, for all of your thoughtful answers. And thank you, everyone, for all of your questions. I'm going to hand things back over to Marina to wrap things up.
Thank you. Thanks, Nina. Thanks, Kimberly. Thanks to all of you for being here, and really hope that you learned something that's going to help you in your practice. Now, before we go, I did say I had a little bit of information for you guys, as well as some housekeeping matters. So first things first, if you were listening to Kimberly, you heard her say that people are not looking for plumbers in the yellow pages, and that is same thing is true for lawyers. People are looking for you online. And here at Justia, we want to help you grow your practice. So we do have Justia marketing solutions available to help you do that. But in particular, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about our Justia Elevate websites, which are great websites that are available at affordable price points to help solo, small law firms, lawyers, everybody here probably achieve your goals. And so with that, it's a website that has integrated our team's SEO experience, something that Kimberly mentioned is very important, very user-friendly, very budget-friendly, state-of-the-art, and completely and totally designed to help lawyers achieve their goals, not other professionals. We focus just on lawyers and law firms. So if you want more detailed information about that, there is some information available on our website, as well as the opportunity to schedule a free consultation. And so our team members would be happy to discuss it more in depth with you and how a Justia Elevate website can help your law firm achieve your goals. Check out our Justia marketing solutions and keep an eye out for upcoming webinars. I hope all of you have a great rest of your Friday, a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you in just a couple of weeks.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos on law practice and legal marketing. See you in our next video.